Welcome to Tesla Academy, your source for technical training. In this course, we will go over the basic functions and technologies of the Model S, including exterior and interior features, autopilot capabilities, high-voltage components, the 12-volt battery system, the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, as well as the chassis. We will also look at several tools you will use daily, including Toolbox, Warp, Garage, and Vehicle Logs. Model S is one of the first automotive platforms designed from the ground up to be 100% electric. The body of Model S is made primarily from aluminum, which results in weight-saving benefits without compromising safety. Extrusions, stampings, and castings are expertly joined for rigidity and strength. There are two different versions of Model S: rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive dual motor. The rear-wheel drive Model S is available with a couple different battery options. The all-wheel drive system in the dual-motor Model S is remarkable in that it does not use more energy simply because it is all-wheel drive. In fact, it actually improves battery performance, allowing for further miles driven per charge and a faster 0 to 60 time. These options may change, so check the Tesla website for the latest and greatest. We will look at the difference between these battery options in the high-voltage section of this course. Here is the Model S, the first car designed from the ground up to be 100% electric. Let's start by exploring the exterior features, beginning with the lights. The headlights are high-intensity discharge lights, also known as xenon, and are automatically leveled. In most cars, Teslas or otherwise, headlights automatically level when the tilt of the vehicle is changed. For example, if the driver slams on the brakes, the front of the car tilts down, which causes the headlights to tilt up, so the path in front of the car is still visible. Or, if there is a lot of weight in the back of the car may tilt up, so the headlights tilt down. Typically, cars use motors within the headlights to accomplish this. With Model S's equipped with air suspension, instead of using a motor, we use the existing air suspension system. This also results in the headlights being less expensive to replace, which everybody loves. For Model S's not equipped with the air suspension system, there is a motor inside the headlights that does the leveling. I'll tell you more about the air suspension system when I talk about the chassis. In earlier versions of the Model S, halogen headlights were standard, and they did not automatically level. High beams are automatically turned off when the car detects oncoming headlights and turned back on when headlights are no longer detected. High beams may also automatically turn off depending on the lighting conditions, such as bright street lights or attempting to use high beams during the day. The cornering lights are part of the fog lamp and are angled outwards to broaden the beam of the headlights when turning a corner. These lights turn on automatically when the steering wheel is turned more than 70 degrees. The all-glass panoramic sunroof is made of a lightweight safety glass. The glazing applied to the glass blocks 98% of visible light and 81% of heat rays. Tesla also makes a clip-on sunshade accessory, which blocks even more light and is available in the accessory store for drivers who want it. The sunroof can be fully opened, open to a desired position, or open to the pre-programmed comfort setting, which opens the sunroof to 75% and helps reduce wind buffeting. It also has a pinch sensor, which monitors for objects such as fingers while the sunroof is closing. If an object is detected, the sunroof stops closing and opens up slightly. Let's look at the features and fun gadgets inside the Model S. Since the Model S doesn't have an engine, the designers created a trunk in the front of the vehicle as well as in the back. Inside the cabin, the front seats have electrical adjustment controls to lift and tilt the seats. This control moves the seat forward and backward, while this one adjusts cushion tilt. A third control raises and lowers the seat, and this one adjusts the angle of the backrest. Some seats are equipped with lumbar support, which is controlled by this switch here. The lumbar support components are part of the seat backrest and are not serviceable. The driver's seat can store up to 4 seat positions. Also unique to the driver's seat is a seat track position sensor that determines when to deploy the airbags in the event of an accident. As an added bonus, seat heaters, I like to call them bun warmers, are available in not only the front seats, but also the back seats too. This way, all 5 occupants can be cozy on chilly days. Speaking of occupants, there is a third-row seating option, which can seat up to 2 children for a total of 7 passengers. However, the third-row seats do not have seat heaters. In the previous section, I mentioned an option for the door handles to auto-present once the vehicle detects a key fob within range, but I didn't tell you how it works. Want to know how it works? Too bad. I'm going to tell you about it anyhow. The auto-present option is part of the remote keyless entry, RKE process. Think of the remote keyless entry process as a giant game of hot potato, where signals are rapidly passed from one place to the next. There are 6 main players in the remote keyless entry process: a low-frequency antenna, an ultra-high-frequency antenna, the key fob, the body control module, BCM, the security control module, SEC, which is part of the body control module, and the door control module. On the Model S, there are 5 low-frequency, LF, antennas located throughout the car as shown. For cars with the auto-present feature, there are 2 additional low-frequency, LF, antennas here. There is also one ultra-high-frequency, UHF antenna, which is located in the liftgate glass. Ultra-high frequency can also be referred to as radio frequency, RF. The LF antenna located in the driver's side end cap periodically outputs a signal. Think of this signal as the hot potato. Once the signal hits a key fob, the key fob responds by sending an ultra-high frequency signal, UHF, to the UHF antenna. The UHF antenna then sends the signal to the security control module, SEC. The SEC initiates authentication of the key fob. After the key fob is authenticated, the SEC tells the BCM that the key fob is a good match. The BCM then tells the door control modules to unlock the doors and present the door handles. Activity time. Drag and drop the remote keyless entry steps into the correct order. Nice job! That is the correct order for the remote keyless entry process. Remember in the previous section when I talked about walk-away door locks? This feature uses the LF and UHF antennas too. After all the doors and rear trunk are closed, the LF antennas send out a signal. If the key fob is within range of the vehicle, the key fob will receive the signal and send the UHF signal back to the car. The vehicle locks when it stops receiving the UHF signal from the key fob, indicating that the key fob is no longer near the car. Model S's are unique cars in many ways, one of which is that the car was designed to be a giant mobile computer. The hardware in the car is controlled by firmware. Just like your smartphone, the Model S can be updated with new features via firmware updates. A huge benefit is that Tesla can push out updates and new features without the owner ever having to step foot in a service center. How cool is that? This update happens in a couple of different ways: over the air via GSM or Wi-Fi, or through a hardwired connection using Toolbox. If an owner brings their car into a service center, use Toolbox to update the firmware if needed. When updating the firmware with Toolbox, you have a few different options. First, you can install the firmware package directly to the vehicle. Here, you can automatically start the installation or opt to manually start the installation from the touchscreen. This is helpful when you do not want the vehicle to begin installing the update right away. Uncheck Auto Start Install to manually start the installation from the touchscreen. Then tap the update icon on the touchscreen to begin the update when you're ready. The next option is to download the firmware package to a computer only and not to the actual car. This option is helpful if you need to perform an update at a location where your laptop will have limited or poor connectivity to the Tesla network. Once the firmware package is downloaded to your computer, Toolbox will acquire credentials needed to update the vehicle while offline. These credentials expire, so it's important that you complete this download process just before leaving the Tesla network to service the vehicle. Finally, the package is then deployed to the car. Next up, I'll talk about the SCCM, or Steering Column Control Module. The SCCM consists of a gear selector stalk, windshield wiper and turn signal stalk, and cruise control stalk. There is also a steering column adjustment lever, which allows the driver to adjust the column position in or out, as well as up or down. The steering angle sensor detects how far the steering wheel is turned, which is used by the car to enable a variety of features, such as cornering lights. Finally, there is a clock spring. The clock spring is responsible for keeping the wires for the airbag and steering wheel buttons organized and detangled, despite the turning of the wheel. The SCCM is a complete assembly, which means that individual stalks cannot be replaced. If one breaks, the entire module must be replaced. Most of these stalks operate in the same way we are all used to, but let's take a closer look at the windshield wiper controls. The wipers have two continuous speeds to choose from, high and low. There are also two automatic speed options where data is collected from a special sensor to determine the appropriate wiper speed. This sensor tells the car how heavy it is raining, which automatically adjusts the wiper speed with either a high or low sensitivity to the rain. The sensor is called the rain, light, solar, and humidity sensor, and it is located right here, next to the rearview mirror. So how does this sensor work exactly? The sensor projects infrared light at an angle onto the windshield and then reads the amount of light that is reflected back. A dry windshield reflects almost all of the light back, whereas a wet windshield causes the light to scatter, so less light is reflected back. Science. The steering wheel itself has some control buttons too. Press and hold this button for 2 seconds to enter customization mode for the instrument cluster display. On the left-hand side, you can scroll between clock, media, energy, trips, car status, and navigation. For each option selected, the scroll wheel and buttons change behavior. For example, when the media display is active, rotating the scroll wheel changes the volume, while pressing it mutes the audio. You can also use the upper and lower buttons to tune the radio station or move to the next song in the playlist. On the right-hand side, you can scroll between the same options as the left-hand side, except phone replaces navigation. The voice button activates voice commands, which allows the driver to speak a command to call a contact, navigate, or listen to internet music. To enter voice command mode, press and hold this button until you hear a tone. Continue holding down the button while speaking the command and release the button when done speaking. You can reboot the instrument cluster by pressing and holding both of these buttons on the steering wheel for 5 seconds, and the touchscreen by pressing and holding both of these buttons for 5 seconds. We can also take screenshots of the touchscreen and the instrument cluster by pressing and holding the button here for 5 seconds. This is useful when trying to fix an issue with the touchscreen or instrument cluster and you need the help of a service engineer. Older Model S's use a version of the steering column control module with a slightly different layout, as shown here. Also, depending on the region, Model S comes configured for right-hand side driving. I bet you're wondering when we're going to talk about the touchscreen. After all, that is part of the interior of the Model S, right? The touchscreen is covered next, in Chapter 4, Touchscreen and Instrument Cluster. But first, it's quiz time.